Hi, welcome to another Harry's Hobbies video. And in this one, I'm still on the Mud Creek Models Chrissy's Cove, and still on the first building. Got the first building here. I weathered some of the aluminum siding. Of course, that'll get weathered even more. You can see that the roof panels, or the roof tar, quote unquote tar paper, is still pretty shiny, but that'll change. That'll change. But what I'm working on right now is the decking, and this is going to come in a couple of different parts. So this is part one, and what I've done is I have measured out enough to go from all the way across. So, and that's 24 of these kind of matchstick type pieces, because it even says that they use matchsticks for the decking. So what I have done is I have cut 12 of those 24 in half. And the reason that I have done that is so that when I place these together, that there'll be a staggered in place, so that the fitting of the other pieces will be staggered as well. And what that does is, and this will become apparent when I get ready to add the glue, and you'll see why I do the staggered. And that's to help them bond and I get whoop. I reckon I need to start getting these a little closer together, and that's to help get these pieces of wood to bond just a little bit. And the reason that this is going to come in a few various, what would it be? It would be four cuts. So this is clip one, and as you can see, I'm putting these in, splitting them apart, and kind of moving them in together to each one. And I'll make sure that these are as straight as I can get them. And yeah, little accidents like that happen. It happens. And I've got a little metal ruler here that I'm going to run these up and get them as straight as possible along the what will be essentially be the front. And then I take what I've got here is simple blue painter's tape that I use, and I've cut that into strips that will go across and hold these in place. And I do that. I get them kind of tight, holding it with my other hand. And I take this painter's tape and I run it across, pressing down kind of hard, and run it over to the other side. And that will hold while I add the other strips going across. And I don't have to go very far, because as you can see, the model itself, I don't need to use a whole lot of but I am going to just go ahead and spread them out. And then we're going to go along, and I'm just going to add. So I'm going to speed up the video from here to get these lined up, and we'll see you on the other side. So now with those pieces down and in their place, this is the simple part. And I know it says in the directions to use Aleene's tack glue because it sets faster. However, I prefer to use some good old-fashioned Elmer's glue. And yeah, it does take a little longer to set, but you get a much better bond. It dries clear. It's easy to apply. I've never used the Aleene's tack glue, so I can't speak for that, but I can speak for this. And quite simply, I use my finger and force the glue into the in between the slats. And I'm not worried about any kind of overrun. And I just continue to push that in until I feel pretty comfortable. And as you can see, I have plenty on either side for a nice little deck out front and a nice little deck to the rear. And I'm going to let this dry. And I'll be back after this is dried to show you how I go about getting rid of this glossiness, and we'll be adding some wood stains and stuff like that to the boards. So that's coming up in part 2. Hey, welcome back to part 2. And as you can see, I've got the decking is nicely glued together. I've let it set up for quite a few hours. Let that Elmer's glue get good and dry. And the building will sit on here, oh, about like so. And what I'll do now is I'm going to get it sanded smooth to get the shininess of the glue off. And I'm just using a standard piece of sandpaper. So again, I'll speed up the video from here and I'll catch you on the other side. So I've got this nicely sanded down, and the next step would be to give it a coating of some brown paint, and in this particular case, I prefer to use, normally when I'm doing something like this, I usually use just a straight up straight up brown paint, and then I go over it with black strips to give it the wooded age look. But in this case, I've got a wash here that I'm going to use. That will actually stain it more so than paint it. You can see as this goes on that there's some brown in it and some green, because I do want to give it kind of an aged effect. And that green will help give it a it's been out in the weather kind of look. And right now I'm not going to really concern myself with the underside because I need to build and get mounted to the underside the pilings and the bracings that are going to be holding this up off the water. So now see how this is just as it's soaking into the wood, which is exactly what you want it to do. And then I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll get started on the pilings and the bracings that'll be going underneath this particular piece. And that'll take some time to dry, not really that long because it is a water base, and it generally dries pretty quick. So I hope you enjoyed this part 2, and pilings and bracings will be coming up shortly. Hi, and welcome back to part 3. And as you can see, I have the decking right here, and that's dried all nicely. And on the other side, I have started to add the pilings and the bracings. And what I did was, I didn't like the size of the dowel that came in the kit, so I had another dowel, and just a slightly larger in diameter, not much. You can see the size difference here. I don't think that that's too bad of a size difference. And I just wanted something that was going to be just add a little bit more oomph to the overall look of the diorama itself. And what I did was I cut 9 of these that are about, these are about 1.5 inches long, and then I've got the support strips that go across to help hold those in place, and those are simply attached with a little bit of super glue. Nice little bead runs down there. I'm going to bring it up to the very edge because I'm going to be sanding this back. And this part that's kind of jutting out right here, I'll take the Dremel tool and we'll get it kind of smooth like this one here is. As things progress. And the reason I'm going from one end to the other is since I'm not measuring where these are mounting at, I want to get close to the center with the third one. And I'm a little bit better at eyeballing it if I've got these outside edges already in place. And see, this is one of the advantages of using a super glue, because it does help you stand these up a little bit better. And then I take another little bead and run right across the back side again. We'll use another support piece and go right up against. We'll push that down into place and hold it there for a few seconds while that glue begins to set up. And then for the third one, here we're going to try to get it kind of lined up in the middle. And again, we just run a nice little bead right down the middle. Set the one piece in place and press it down so that the glue sets up a little bit. In the meantime, I can go ahead and add a couple of drops of the glue and where our main supports will be going. One there. And one on this side. And of course, it doesn't look like I got any glue there at all. And we'll now whoops, I kind of figured that one would fall over. I could see it slowly moving along. And then we do the same thing here. We run a nice little strip of glue right across. And we place another beam to help hold those in place. And then before I go any further with this, I'm going to let these get good and set up. Let that super glue get nice and dry. Usually I give it quite a few hours. I give it 2 or 3 hours to get good and set before I do anything else, because I can still see that it's still wet. So I'll be back later with adding some brace work along the sides to help keep it supported when I go to put it on the base, which I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about designing that. So stay tuned for that. It's upcoming soon.